This is AndyTube. In this video, I'd like to give you a tour of the features of a Singer Model 513 Stylist. This machine was made about 1972, and I am not sure of which factory that it was made in. It is a flatbed cast aluminum sewing machine. It has an internal electric motor that is the ENK8 motor class, and it's got a rocker switch down here, runs on 110 volts electricity. This is on and off, on, off, and that lets power go to the motor and also turns on the light. This is the J style light that is recessed up into the arm on a little hinge here, and it goes in and out bayonet style. Coming across the top here, some of the features up here, instead of the big chrome knob up here that you turned right or left to increase or lessen pressure on the presser foot, by the 70s Singer had gone completely to the dial system. The dial works similar to the Rocketeer, the 500, 500A, 503A, except you don't open the door to turn it. You turn this knob towards you, towards the sewer, to lighten pressure, or away from you to increase pressure. Another thing that they had done with this Stylist model was that the thread take-up lever, they now slotted it, so you didn't have to thread the opening here. You could just pull the thread from the back to the front, and this was a change they stayed with for the rest of their models. Also up here, this is the bobbin winder tension disc. It's up on the top because the bobbin winder system is up on the top now also. So this applies tension to the thread when you're winding a bobbin. And the bobbin winder is over here on this side. It's built in right here with a fill guide that is adjustable by loosening a screw and sliding it back and forth. And to engage it, you turn this knob from sew to wind, or to the right. You can see it moves the bobbin winder spindle over, and the tire in here or friction ring engages with the hand wheel to turn the spindle. And depending on how you've adjusted this, as it fills, it will move it back away and have automatic shut off, or you can do it manually. They've gone to plastic handles and knobs on this series, but it's the same principle of most Singers. Hold the hand wheel and turn the release knob towards the sewer, and that disengages the feed dogs and needle bar so that you only run the hand wheel to wind the bobbin. We come down towards the front of the machine here now. This was a selector switch to allow you to use built-in cams for either left zigzag or turn the wheel to the right for blind hammer blind stitch. Also, get a little closer, you might be able to see some red diagrams for rick rack and slanted over edge. And that had to do with this other knob here. This is a FLEXI-STITCH. This allows you to control the pattern of the zigzag, blind hem, rick rack, or slanted over edge. And to engage the rick rack or over edge, you turn this dial from 0 and you turned it over to the red, kind of looks like a number 1 or the red line. That engaged another follower that allowed the rick rack and the slant over edge to be used, and then you could control the length and width of those with this, because you would turn the stitch length knob up to the red hash mark also, and that allowed these cams and devices up here to control the stitch. And this is the stitch length knob. Instead of having the chrome lever that went for stitch length and go up for reverse, this turns from 6, 7, 8 and so forth up to the fine area, and you can lock it in 0 if you're going to do a darning or freestyle embroidery and so forth. So they don't have, this took the place of the lever, and whereas the lever system you would throw it up for reverse, this has a push knob. So when you push and hold it in, it would sew in reverse until you released it. Now many of you will be familiar with these very common levers up here. This is stitch width from straight stitch up to the farthest zigzag, about 3/16 of an inch. I think this one went to about 5 millimeters wide. And it has a needle position lever with a bracket system that allows you to sew in center needle position or left or right. That's very common on many of their machines. And it also still has what I think of as the better tension system, where it's right up front, you can see it, you can clean it. It turns the tension from 0 to 9. This has the 3 discs with the center partition disc, so you can run 2 needle threads through here, and the machine can use a single thread or a single needle or a twin needle, an actual twin needle made at the factory instead of double needle or 2 separate single needles. You come around on the back side here. This is all the same kind of presser foot, presser bar lifter mechanism that they had for 100 years or so, to lift up the presser foot and lower it. And when you lift that up, it also would release tensions on the disc for when you are running your needle thread. So of course when you lower it, not only does it lower the presser foot, but it puts tension back on the needle thread in the tension unit. So up, raise the foot, release tension, down, lower the foot, and apply tension. Take a look down here at the typical presser bar with the thread cutter built on the back of the bushing. Standard Singer needle bar. This is a straight shank, not slanted but straight shank, and or low shank, and this typical straight or low shank presser feet. We come around here to the bobbin area. Whoop. Make sure I'm backed out here. This uses the front drop-in bobbin as a typical Singer slide plate. Pull it out. It's a class 66 bobbin, but they did away with the metal bobbin holder or bobbin case, and they went with a plastic. And this bobbin case or bobbin holder is called the Apollo, and it became their go-to bobbin holder for many years to come after the 70s and way beyond that. The needle plate can be changed and removed by simply get my needle up out of there. This was changed from the 50s and 60s. And 60s, if you saw the 337, 338, a couple of those, you slid this back and you lift it up here, and this hinged pin held it in place. In the 70s, they added a mechanism over here underneath that if you slide it back a little bit more, a lever raised that pin and took the tension off of it, so you could just very easily lift it up on the right side and pull it out. And the same when you go to put it back, the tension is already released and the pin is raised, so it just slides very easily right under there and goes back. And when you move the plate forward, it comes down and lets the spring tension hold the needle plate in place. And the thread guides are very common pattern. In front of the bobbin winder tension disc is the top thread guide, and the tension thread guides comes on around here, up, back through the guide, pulls from the front to the back of the take-up lever, and then runs right down to the bottom of the nose plate. Here is a thread guide, and then there is the pigtail thread guide on the needle bar, and the slotted thread guide on the needle holder or needle clamp, and then the needle threads front to back. So that's a quick tour of the features of the Singer Model 513 Stylist. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know what factory this was made at. I didn't see anything on the machine, and the records I have for dating machines by serial numbers, this is a JF serial number, and I don't go that high up in my records. I usually work with machines older than this, but this is a machine owned by a customer of mine that bought 2 machines from me this year, and then This is a machine at a summer place, and she brought it back to town and asked me if I would go through and clean it all up and adjust it. And it's still working, but it's got a little, got some noise and stuff, so it just needs some adjusting, I think. So I thought while I had the machine in my possession, I could do a tour video for you. And I'll probably go ahead and do a how to thread the needle, how to wind the bobbin type of video too while I've got it. So you may want to watch for that if you're interested in the Singer model 513 Stylist. Straight stitch, zigzag, and a few pattern and FLEXI-STITCH for sewing. Thanks so much for tuning in. Come back and see me. Take care.